Modern relationships can sometimes reflect a broader shift towards more flexible and personalized, different approaches.
So from keeping separate bank accounts to sleep divorces, we know couples that value personal space and independence can have many options. And sometimes that includes not even sharing the same living space. So in today's Relationship Reboot, we're talking about this concept of living apart together. So we got our relationship expert, Dr. Shonda Craft, to explain what this is, why it might work, and why it might not. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with just the idea of living apart together. Can you explain this to us?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept where you have couples who are in a partnered, committed relationship that are intentionally choosing to maintain separate households, live in different residences as a permanent solution, not as a maybe step towards cohabiting eventually or even getting married if they're unmarried. But they're intentionally saying, I'm going to live in my household, you're going to live in your household, and we're going to continue our relationship together in that way.
You know, I'm reminded here of a funny quote from Carol Burnett where someone said, are you ever going to get married again? And she said, yeah, if he lives next door. But this is for real, this actually works for people, right? Like, give us some more examples of why people are choosing this.
Yeah, well, and I think when we think about, technology has really made it a lot easier for people to stay connected. And so, sometimes this is about people who don't really have an easy way to live together. So perhaps, you're both very interested in your career prospects and you're trying to maintain jobs. And one person has a job in one city, another person has a job in another city, and it doesn't make sense for either one of you to move. And so that's one reason. Sometimes it's as simple as, people just want to maintain their own personal space and their own personal boundaries. They want to be able to go home and sleep in their own bed, keep the house as clean or as messy as they want to keep it, just kind of keep their life separate from their partner, but still have a good emotional connection to them.
Shonda, are we talking about people who are married, who are dating long term, who are maybe just dating? Who are we talking about?
It is really both. And this is not dating, right? So these are people who have decided, as a permanent aspect of our relationship, this is the lifestyle that we're choosing to live. And these couples, they're kind of commonly referred to as LAT couples, L-A-T. They are oftentimes much more integrated into each other's lives than dating partners. They may be spending long weekends together. They may be hanging out with each other's families or doing social events together. Their lives are very integrated. But again, it is that intentionality that's really necessary in order for this to feel like it is an actual committed relationship.
And Shonda, obviously you get your personal space in this, but I'm wondering if there are challenges that they could face from this. Like, how do you stay connected when you are living apart?
Absolutely. Well, maintaining your expectations is really important. Being able to communicate and understand what's happening kind of behind the scenes when you're not together. I think this type of relationship absolutely demands a lot of trust. You have to have, partners who are willing to be open and honest about who they're seeing, what they're doing, being very clear about how they're nurturing the relationship. It's also important to have financial conversations. If you're going to maintain two financial households, that's often a reason why people move in together, right, is to save money. And so if you're maintaining two financial households, it is important to make sure that both partners are financially stable on their own so that if the choice is to not live together, you need to make sure that that's not something that's going to need to happen in the near future.
But also just beyond, let's say, finances, I mean, you're also talking about intimacy too.
Absolutely. That emotional distance can really increase if there's not intentionality to see each other. And again, if you're living in completely different states and kind of commuting or super commuting, as they call it, it does take a lot of arrangements. It takes a lot of intentionality. And again, that communication is just really key. If you're going to go for stretches of months at a time without seeing each other, there have to be other ways that you're going to utilize to stay emotionally connected to each other and maintain that physical intimacy and sexual intimacy, as well as, being able to see each other and share space.
All right. Trust, intentionality, and conversation, communication. All right.
Yep.
Dr. Craft, as always, really great to talk with you.
Thank you both. Have a great day.
You too.